We are live. Oh my goodness. I am so excited to be here. How is it possible that Thanksgiving is tomorrow? Amazing. You guys, I am really excited to see you all. And everybody's joining. It's very exciting because this is episode number 3 of how to write a book that gets clients begging to work with you. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about why most new authors fail. And what I want you to know is that most new authors do fail, tragically. And there are 2 ways that they fail, but it's the second one that's most interesting to me. The first thing is 91% of people want to write a book. And by the way, if you want to write a book, just type in, I want to write a book, or I want to write another book in the comments and let me know that that's you. You will be part of the 91% of people who want to write a book. Now, of that 91% of people who want to write a book, only 3% of those actually get their manuscripts done. And I thought that was fascinating. 3%, this is according to the New York Times, they did a study a few years back. And 3% is a very small number. But that's not the part that was most interesting to me. The part that was most interesting to me is that of the 3% of people, who get their manuscript done, only 20% of those, like they have a finished manuscript, it's done. Only 20% of those publish. So the problem for those people wasn't writing the book, right? The problem was something else was blocking them from publishing. And so I'm excited to see those of you who say, I want to write a book, but there's a second piece of this, which is you also have to publish it for it to make a difference. To write a book that gets clients begging to work with you, you have to not just write it, but you have to actually publish it. So when you run those numbers, 3% who want to write a book get it done, and 20% of those publish, that means 0.6%, less than 1% of people who want to write a book actually get it written and published. So those numbers are dramatically different for my clients. We've got a 94% who actually write and publish their books, 94%, which is a whole lot better than 0.6%. And I want to tell you the mistake that our authors don't make, because they have me making sure they don't make this one, but I want to make sure nobody makes this mistake. Because if you want to write a book and you actually are in that 3% who finish it, I don't want you to be in the 80% of people with a finished manuscript that don't get it out into the world, because you cannot make a difference if your book doesn't get out into the world. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to share with you why most new authors fail. And here it is. Most new authors have a desire to help, a desire to get their message out into the world, and they believe this desire is helping them, but it is actually hurting them. And I'm going to teach you exactly how today. First thing, I want to recap in our first 2 webisodes, we talked about 2 secrets. First, you have to know how to market your message. That means you have to write your book to your ideal reader. Second, I explained yesterday the way that authors make money, nonfiction authors make money, has nothing to do with book sales. Make sure you catch up on those first 2 episodes if you haven't seen them. The good news is knowing those 2 things will make a huge difference, but that's only 20% of the battle. There is a third secret I am going to share today, and until you nail this one, you will sabotage yourself. You can get your book done and still have an 80% chance of failure. How crazy is that? And it is because this is a massive tripwire. 80% of success comes out of what I am going to teach you today. 80% of people make this mistake. I don't want you to make it. So I'm going to tell you a story about my friend and client, Jen McRobbie. She is amazing. She is a life coach. She's a mom, and she is also a cancer survivor. And she wanted to write a book. She wanted to write a book about her experience dealing with breast cancer so that she could help other people with breast cancer going through their journey. She wanted the book that wasn't there for her when she got diagnosed. But as she was writing, she signed up to work with me. Jen signed up to work with me a couple of years ago, and she was actually my first 5-figure client. So it's $10,000 to work with me at that time. And it was the first time I had ever charged that. And she was totally committed. She was all in, but her treatments kept getting in the way. She had a desire to be with her kids that was kind of brought up by her cancer. Makes sense, right? She had lots of reasons not to finish. She had a bunch of medical treatment. She had surgeries while she was working on this book with me. And had she not made that massive financial commitment and the commitment to working with me, harassing her every week, she would have sabotaged her own project because of all these other things that came up. Not because she's not a great writer. She actually is, and her book is beautifully written, and I should find it and wave it at you because it's a fantastic book. This is her book. It's Why Is She Acting So Weird? I have to find the camera. Here it is. Why Is She Acting So Weird? This is her book. It's amazing. And it was not her belief in her message or her belief in her desire to help people that was standing in the way. It was all the other things that were coming up and getting into her head about how she wanted to use her time and whether it was good enough and what was she going to do when her book was done. And so Jen ended up finishing her book because she had more of a reason to finish than she had to fail. And that's what you need. You need a better reason to finish than a reason to fail. Jen speaks on stages around the world. She recently spoke to an audience of 2,000. She does a lot of work in the young cancer survivors community, and she is making the difference she wanted to make with her book, not just because she finished the manuscript, but because she was totally committed. She went all in on herself. She made an investment. She had a coach, and she was able to take the time to identify what was blocking her and get it done. And that is the work we did together. To get her book done, what we realized, this is true with Jen and it is true with you, is, listen to me because this is hard. She had to become the person who wrote the book before she wrote it. I know that sounds backwards, but this is how it works. The person who wrote the book figured out how to write with cancer treatments going on, figured out how to prioritize her kids and still get the book done, figured out how to address the who am I to write this book dilemma that everybody goes through. So, what did the person who wrote the book do? That's the question I want you to ask yourself. Tony Robbins talks about this. He says, in order to get better answers, we have to ask ourselves better questions. And so what I find a lot of people doing is they get their manuscript done, they're working on publishing it, and they say to themselves, how am I going to find an editor? How am I going to find a publisher? How am I going to market this? Those are not awesome questions. A much better question is to ask yourself, what did the person who had tremendous success finding an editor, marketing their book, what did they do? Who do I need to be? And actually project yourself into the future and become the person who did it. I'm going to teach you how I do that using my favorite tool from my favorite coach, Brooke Castillo. This is her book, Self-Coaching 101. I'm actually featured in this book. And so Brooke teaches this model of how to change your thoughts to get different results. So most people are having the thought, I'm not really good at technical stuff with getting my book published. And then they have this feeling, and the feeling is, despair or frustration or irritation. And then the action is usually Netflix binge watching or eating carbs or dicking around on Facebook. And the result is their book isn't published and another month goes by. So I actually just had this happen with one of my clients. The circumstance, and I want you to see how different this is when you are working with a coach or when you are working with the self-coaching 101 model. So the circumstance was she's in the middle of writing her book and her computer dies. Blue screen of death, dead computer. She has the thought, this is a sneaky little thought that stops people from getting their book done. This is why 80% of people fail, even after they have the manuscript done. So she had the thought, super innocent thought, I have to send this computer off to repair. I guess I'll get back to my book when I get my computer back. And that feeling that went along with that was complacency. And then the action was, I guess I'll, bake a pie or I'll work on some other stuff off the computer, like painting a new chair. And the result was her book didn't get done. Now, in that week, what happens, and this happens to everybody, is you start to think about other books you could write or other things you could do, and you get distracted by all of the shiny objects out there. Maybe it's cancer treatments and your kids, or maybe it's just that you want to, remodel your living room. And then you just don't get back to your book. And when you get back to it, you're like, oh, I don't even know if this is that important. So same exact circumstance, the computer dies, blue screen of death, computer is dead, and you have the thought, the person who finished the book, by the way, has the thought, my computer isn't working, but that's not going to stop me, which has a feeling of determination and excitement, which causes the action of going to Best Buy and purchasing a new computer, which has the result of getting back to work on your book right away. You could still get your computer fixed and have a backup computer, but the person who finished the book went to the bookstore, and this actually happened. I don't know if my client Deborah is here, but Deborah, if you are here, chime in the comments. This happened with Deborah. Her computer broke. She contacted me. We identified the thoughts. We found the feelings, and within 15 minutes, she had bought a new computer, and she was back to work on her book, and her manuscript is in amazing shape, and she is going to be publishing next week. And that is the difference. This is the biggest mistake that new authors make, is they do not realize that their thoughts are creating their results. And because of this, they don't take control of their thoughts. They don't make the investment in working with a coach or working on their thoughts. They're working on their book. They get caught up by cancer treatments or a dead computer or one of a million things. I'm going to share some of them with you, and then they don't finish. And I am telling you, this will happen to you if you do not guard against it. How do I know that? Only 0.6% of people who want to write a book get it done. Only 0.6%. And that is because they do not have this model working for them. You see, the real problem Marianne Williamson identified a long time ago for us back in 1994 when she said, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. The person who wrote and published the book and has clients begging to work with them, they overcame this obstacle right here. They were able to identify that their playing small was not going to make a difference. Whether that's playing small and being brave and buying a computer, or whether it's playing small by not taking your manuscript with you to edit while you're getting chemo treatments, because we've had plenty of people doing that. You must be able to step into being the person who wrote the book and knowing that shrinking or playing small doesn't help anyone. So the good news is you are normal. Most coaches and healers, they are trying to fix their message. They're trying to find a better place to get leads. They're trying to hone their craft and thinking that if they just get another certification, they will be good enough. But no one tells them that that desire to serve could be the exact thing holding you back. Because that desire to serve, it comes from a place, or can come from a place that is about wanting, grabbing, needing. I want clients. I want to help people. I want to get more leads. I want to get better at what I'm doing. All of that wanting, here's the news flash. And my law of attraction people out there, if you're an LOA person, you can give me an LOA in the comments. But my law of attraction people know this. What wanting creates, desiring to help others, it creates more wanting. I don't want you to want more clients. I don't want you to want to get your book done. I want you to just be the person who did it. Ask, believe, receive. Believe is the most important part there. It's not ask, want, receive. Ask, want, receive is no bueno, people. Okay? Give me a comment if you, while I take a sip, give me a comment if you get that. Ask, want, receive is a no. Ask, believe, receive. All right. So I'm going to tell you how you do that. You have to know the tactics, right? You have to know the strategy. That was webisodes 1 and 2. Knowing how to market and sell your book. Turns out that's actually easy. Knowing you have to have a strategy, having a smart back end for your book. You're not just going to make a difference with book sales. You're going to make a difference by selling your product and service. But the real key to writing a book that matters is to manage the drama on the road to becoming the person who wrote the book. Brooke Castillo says, this is the river of misery, and we must traverse the river of misery in order to become the person who wrote the book. Got to have the tactics, got to have the strategy, but the real key here is managing the drama. And the way I believe you manage the drama, I will tell you, the way I manage the drama in my life is by having an amazing coach who can catch my blind spots. Now, if you are awesome at coaching yourself, here's how you will know. You will know you're awesome at coaching yourself if when you have negative thoughts, you are able to do the work in order to get the outcome you want in a matter of minutes. How fast you turn that around is going to determine your success or failure. So the first step in order to turn a thought around is you must identify it and separate the thought from the circumstance. In my life, in my experience, I have found this took about 5 years of daily practice. So I've been working the self-coaching 101 model for 10 years now, a little over 10 years. And I do that process every single day. I've done it every single day for 10 years. And I started seeing results within the first year. And this is what I see with my clients who have not learned how to manage the drama, or maybe haven't had a ton of experience managing it. Once you have done it for 5 to 10 years, or when you've had to do it very intensely. So I have certain clients who have gone through major life traumas. They've been able to do it in more like 3 to 5 years. But you must learn to manage your mind on a daily basis for many, many years. I say in general, it's about a decade. So if you make that commitment to identifying your thoughts and then deciding, do you want that thought or do you want another one, everything will change in your life. Now, when is the best time to start learning how to manage your thoughts? The best time to start is now. It's right now. And the best way to manage your thoughts is to find a goal that you have. For me, that goal was weight loss. To find a goal you have and manage your thoughts in order to meet that goal. For my clients, it is writing a book. So for me, writing a book was always easy. I wrote my first book when I was 21. That wasn't hard. It was my weight that took me 10 years of doing this work consistently to really learn how to manage my thoughts. So I love books because they will bring up all your stuff. Books are about being seen. It's about being visible. It is about actually getting your message out there and standing in your power. But in order to do that, you are going to have to manage your thoughts. And they often sneak up on you and they surprise you. So it is actually, writing a book is pretty easy. It's just like losing weight. You pick a strategy. Let's say I picked Jenny Craig. That was my first one. You choose the tactics, taking vitamins, chopping salad, ordering food, right? The challenge comes in when guys start whistling on the street, your best friend stops inviting you over for ice cream, you are drinking or smoking to buffer emotional discomfort, and then what happens? You start eating again and you gain the weight back. So I want to go back to those numbers when we said only 3% of people finish their manuscript. That's because these challenges came in. So whether it was cancer treatments or a broken computer or wanting to spend time with your kids, that's the same as these weight loss challenges. And then what happens? You stop writing. And then even if you finish the manuscript, so 3% of people who finish the manuscript, now the manuscript is done and now new challenges come in. I don't know how to publish. I don't know how to find an editor. Maybe this isn't good anyway. You get a bad review. You go to some writing group and somebody tells you your idea is dumb and you believe it, right? All that stuff is going to happen. It's called being alive on the planet. So that stuff will happen and sabotage will strike again if you don't have the skills to manage the drama. You have to have a strategy, you have to have tactics, and you have to know challenges are going to come, challenges to your thoughts will come, and you have to have a plan in advance for how you will deal with those, or you will be like the 99.4% of people who want to write a book and fail. The biggest mistake new authors make is they only plan for strategy and tactics, and they do not plan to manage the drama. White knuckling it will not work. You cannot beat your inner author up into wanting to come out and play. Just like you can't beat yourself up into trying to lose weight. By the way, anybody else on a weight loss journey like I have been, do you ever try and like beat yourself up into losing weight? Weddings are good for this. So you take 2 weeks before a wedding because you want to look great in a dress. You lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks. I've done it many times. What happens after the wedding? You gain 12 pounds in 2 days. And that is what happens. You can white knuckle your way into finishing your manuscript, and then the manuscript is done, and 80% of people gain the weight back. The way that looks in book writing is you don't get the manuscript published. It doesn't make a difference. We have to learn how to think, act, and make decisions like the person we will be when we have the things we want. So I started eating and exercising and thinking and making decisions like a 149-pound person long before I was 149 pounds. And I am not 149 pounds right now. I'm 172 pounds. So that 149-pound thinking will catch up. And by the way, I started at over 315 pounds when I started thinking like a 149-pound person. So the way you get there isn't that you get there and then you think like somebody who's 149 pounds. It's that you think like somebody who's 149 pounds and then you get there. That is the exact same thing with your book. You don't finish your book and then you feel like someone who wrote a book. We know that because 80% of people who finish their book don't publish it, right? The way you get there is you think like somebody, act like somebody, and make decisions like somebody who has published their book and made a difference with it. And then you get the book done. Are you guys following me? Yeah. Okay. So let me show you what that looks like. These are just a few of our authors, just a few of them, that what they had to face while they were working with me in order to get their book done. getting diagnosed with cancer. By the way, if you are one of these authors and you are watching this, feel free to shout in and claim your achievement because this is amazing. My incredible client, Lisa Danielchuk, she prepared for and ran an ultra marathon while writing a book. My amazing client, Lisa Cavallero, she wrote her second book with us while she has 3 kids. 2 of them got married. Her daughter, she planned the wedding. Her son, she helped with that wedding. And then her other daughter was graduating from college. She wrote her book in 9 weeks while 2 kids got married and 1 graduated from college, right? Whatever your reason is, it's not good enough. We've had one of my authors transitioned her business to a child. We've had people dealing with surprise kitchen remodels. We've had somebody have a baby squirrel infestation. We've had people go through foreclosures and bankruptcies. I will tell you the hardest thing, the absolute hardest thing, and I have had 2 authors go through this. So shout out to Mara and Sarah here, who fell in love while they were writing their book. That is the biggest challenge ever. You meet the person of your dreams while you are writing a book and you have to tell them, hey, I can't hang out even though I'm falling in love with you. I'm going to go write my book. Amazing, amazing accomplishment. Multiple clients, shout out to Cynthia Reese, but multiple of my clients were getting PhDs while they were writing their books. Some of my clients have lost a pet while they were writing their book. That is super hard, writing it and getting it published. We've had clients who are blind, clients with dyslexia. One of my amazing clients who just won a Gold Stevie Award for Best Female-Owned Business was pregnant, went through pregnancy, labor, and delivery while writing her book and brought her 3-week-old to her book launch. You could actually see her picture on our website. That is Renee Brown Small. And she went through pregnancy, labor, and delivery, still got her book done. Why? Because she is the person who is winning Gold Stevie Awards and having $500,000 worth of contracts with her business. She just does it, right? So you can't say, Marsha, working a full-time job at a new job. Yeah, amazing. So many of our clients have become the person who wrote the book, not because stuff didn't go down, because stuff goes down. I promise you, it is life. Things are going to happen. The person who finished the book and made the difference with it and built their business is the person who did it anyway. So there are 2 kinds of successful authors. Okay. And the first is if you build it, they will come author. These authors focus on craft. They are developing their platform. They're struggling to write. They're struggling to make ends meet. They're committed to their art, even if it means suffering. And they just keep creating beautiful content and hoping that lightning strikes and something goes viral and they get discovered. And this does happen. There are some great examples of people who this happens for. This is not the author's way. This is not what I do with my authors. My authors are not on the slow boat to China. My authors are ready to step up and become that person now. They have been through it. They have heard it all. They have gone through their own pain and their own suffering, and they are ready to be of service now. So instead of focusing on their craft, they're focusing on service. Instead of focusing on developing their platforms, they know they are good enough right now to make a difference. Instead of struggling to write and make ends meet, they are focused on funding their movement. And we talked about how to do that in webisode number 2. They are committed not to their art, although that's part of it, but they are committed to service, to helping others, even if it makes them uncomfortable. They are committed to creating their own luck. And of course, appropriately, my very first author was Susan Hyatt and her book, Create Your Own Luck. I'm going to find that for you. It's over here somewhere. Yes. So Create Your Own Luck by Susan Hyatt was actually the first book that we published. And that is so perfect because that is what the authors do in the author's way. And some great examples. So which do you want to be? No judgment here because there are great examples on both sides. You could be the discovered talent who spends 20 years developing their craft, or you could be someone who steps up and does it now. You get to claim that. Do you want to go the author's way, or do you want to go the if you build it, they will come way? There are two ways to be successful. So I'm going to leave that screen up and let you tell me which do you want to be. You can type that in the comments. If you build it, they will come, or the author's way. That is the law of attraction way. That is the way of commitment and focus on service and making a difference right now. And that is what I believe is the difference between the 0.6% of people who get their books done and the 99.4% of people who do not get their books done, is that 99.4% of people are waiting to finish and publish their book and be successful in order to become the person who did that. And you will be waiting forever. You must become the person who wrote the book first. If you do not do that, you have a 99.4% chance of failure. That is the biggest mistake authors make. Super excited to share this message with you today. And tomorrow, I have a treat in store. I am well aware that you may not be able to make it, but you will catch the replay if you miss this, because this is going to be the most transformative 30-minute Facebook Live there has ever been. In episode 4 of Write a Book That Gets Clients Begging to Work With You, we're going to talk about specifically what it takes for a book to make a difference. And I am going to announce our authors of the year, our 12 authors of the month. And I'm going to give you 12 case studies of what it took for our most successful authors from this last year, what it took for them to make a difference. So it is going to be 12 2-minute case studies about what it takes to make a difference. I can't wait to share with you what our most successful authors have done to transform their lives, their families' lives, and most important to me, their readers' lives. Those are the transformations I want you to commit to making for your readers. Mwah. Thank you, guys. I have loved being with you today. I'm going to look through your comments. If you have questions, go ahead and put them into the notes because I will be jumping on and responding to them. Mwah. Ciao, everybody. Have an amazing day.